Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Heather, for those of you who are new here, and for those of you who are not new, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Today we've got some fall planting to do. Now right here is the cowpea. This I need to get cleared out of this bed. We've already gotten one of our other beds completely cleared out. So once I get this guy out of here, what we're going to do is we're going to start direct sowing some seeds for fall. I'm going to go on ahead. I'm going to put you on hyperlapse here, and I will see you guys back here in a bit. And I will also have a list of some of my favorite fall crops to grow in small spaces. So stick around so you can see what I'm growing. All right, let's get started. To explain what I just did in that bed. So in this bed over here, I ended up sprinkling some of the Biotone by Espoma. That's about the only, I guess you could say, fertilizer, commercial fertilizer. They're organic, that we use here. So what I did is I got in with my hose, started breaking up the top, sprinkled the Espoma Biotone to help with root growth, because if you don't have good root growth on your plant, you're not going to have a strong plant. Mixed it in, I watered, and then I put Garden Magic on top and watered that in again to get the nutrients down into the soil, because these 3 new beds had contaminated soil in them. So we're in the middle of healing that right now, and in order to do that, it does require a little bit more time and effort. Under normal circumstances, at most, all I would have done in that bed is maybe top it off with worm castings or some compost and manure like the Garden Magic, if I had noticed the soil level had shrunk. Over here, this is another bed that we're going to be planting. Okay, so over here, our soil level has not shrunk by any means. I've only got a few things. These are magic runner beans over here. We're going to see if we can't get a small harvest in before November. And then here, these are just a Blue Lake pole green bean, and then of course marigold, and then a zinnia down there in that hole. But we're going to do the same thing here, slightly different. Instead of using Garden Magic, because I only had the 2 bags today, and since I don't really need to raise the soil level, what we'll do is I'll come in here with the Espoma Biotone starter. I've already started watering this. I'll go on ahead, get it mixed in, and then I'll add in our worm castings. Now, you might tell me that that seems like a lot of fuss and bother, but when it comes to soil, that is really what you are tending the most as a gardener, is your soil. Your soil is your top priority, because if you do not have good soil, you do not have a garden. So we're going to go on ahead. We're going to make sure and get this bed taken care of as well, and then we can get on with our fall seed planting, which I'm very excited about. Okay, let me put you on hyperlapse. Alright, so if you follow me at all on Instagram, if you don't, you should, because you would have heard about the fact that all of those seeds that I had seed started, like the last day of August, no, September, I did it in September, over half of them, the birds ended up eating out of the trays because I left them on the potting bench due to the fact that we don't have a greenhouse that's temperature controlled, so we don't control the internal temperature of it with any electrical outputs or anything that way. So it was too hot to have the seedlings in that greenhouse, but the birds ended up eating the seeds out of my pots. So I actually need to re-sow over 3 of the trays, but they didn't get these 3 wee pea plants. So we're going to go on ahead, we're going to put them over here with our magic runner beans. I'm not sure if we're going to get much off of the magic runner beans. If we do, great. If we don't, that's fine too. But since we have open space on the trellis, we might as well go ahead and use it. We are supposed to be in the mid to high 80s and into the 90s through the middle of October. So we have good chances right now of seeds germinating direct soil when sown in direct soil. So we will also be doing that over here because I've got peas saved here. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to get our sugar snap peas in, and then we will move on to our next crop. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to be putting into these beds are radish seeds. Radish is really, really good to use any time of the year, actually. But particularly in the fall, because it is more frost hardy, you can actually eat the greens as it's growing. Just don't cut all of the greens off, but you can harvest some of the greens off and saute them in garlic, oil, salt, pepper. Really good side dish, very, very nutritious, but it's also amazing at keeping things like Japanese beetles from living, really, because they go down into the soil. That's where they lay their eggs, where they sleep at night, and then they come up the next day. So this prevents the larva from ever really forming into more Japanese beetles. So that's one of the reasons that one of many reasons that we plant them. It's also super, super delicious if you're somebody who doesn't like radishes, because I don't like radishes, but I love to eat these roasted in the oven. They're amazing with potatoes. They just are. So we are going to be putting these in the corners. I can't obviously put them in the corner down there because we have green beans, but I'm going to do a whole row on this side, I think. And then we'll do a similar a similar thing to all the other beds that we just got done putting the peas in, okay? Okay, for this bed, the next thing that I am going to do, trying to make decisions here, is we're going to plant some rutabaga. Okay, so this is an organic gill feathers rutabaga. Looks like they need to be about 3 to 4 inches apart, and 12 inches between rows. So rutabaga do get fairly large if you allow them to, but you don't have to let them fully size up. You can actually harvest them when they're the size of a beet. Or you can leave them in longer if you want. You get to decide based upon your space, but I love rutabaga. I love to roast it. Sorry, big truck. I love to roast it and then mash it and use it like you would potatoes. So instead of having mashed potatoes, you have mashed rutabaga. Add a little bit of butter, salt, and pepper. So good. I've actually had people not know the difference between the rutabaga and mashed potatoes when I've done it that way. So if you've got a picky eater in your house, this might be something you want to grow just for the nutritional factor. So we're going to do that down here on this end, and then we will move on to the other beds because this bed will be completely filled because we've got radishes all through here, sugar snap peas here, and then rutabaga will all be up in there. Okay? Okay, so we are good to go on ahead and start on this bed. So we have radishes here, we have radishes down there. In the middle, I'm going to go with turnips. Turnips have a really quick turnaround. So if you're looking for a quick crop or even just a cover crop, go on ahead and invest in some beet seeds because they will produce well in most climates and in most zones. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get these guys planted in for you, okay? Okay, so for this long bed here, I am not going to be planting this side over here yet. I do need to get another bag of Garden Magic on that side just to add some nutrients in over the winter months. But as you saw earlier, we went on ahead and we put in a bunch of the sweet peas. They're more on this side here. And then I put, of course, our radish seeds down here in this corner. But I've got plenty of space up in here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant the beets over here. Oh, looks like we're going to need to invest in some beet seeds too. Now you can also harvest beet greens, so this gives me the option of being able to do a mix of beet, turnip, and rutabaga greens, which would be a lovely, lovely side dish. But let's go on ahead and get these sown in. These guys are anywhere from 50 to 65 days, so beets have a really quick turnaround. If you're looking for some fall crops that you can get in right now, beets are definitely a go-to in that regard. Let's get you on hyperlapse. Comment, subscribe. Tell me down below what some of your favorite fall crops are to grow. I would really love to hear from you. I would love some feedback on that. I definitely am always looking for something new to try and grow, so put it in a comment down below. Don't forget, and guys, as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.